Hey everybody, I'm Eric, that's John. This is Monday. Welcome to the start of the new week. What's up, John?
It's been a fun last couple days, my friend.
It's been interesting, hasn't it?
Very interesting. I tell you, the drop in temperature.
Yep.
Well, first of all, going back to last Thursday when it was 18 degrees in the morning, go back to the same spot and it's 66, and then reality returns.
We almost
yesterday.
got to 70.
Oh, I think if that sun
incredible.
had come out and been out even for half an hour, it would have hit 70.
So we broke the record, by the way, in Rochester that day. And then we ended up with the Sunday morning wind event, which that was a fairly substantial deal for the area.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I was at Soda's Point when that thing hit, and there were gusts there probably upward of 50, 51 miles per hour, but certainly west of there, the gusts were much higher.
63 at the airport. Buffalo came 1 mile an hour shy of 70.
Yeah.
Big ticket event there with that.
Absolutely. And you saw the down trees that you were talking about Friday. You saw the down power
outages.
Lines, especially toward Buffalo and Genesee County, places out toward Batavia and those areas where the wind was more of a factor.
Now, the nice thing, wind is no longer a factor. Now, on this graphic, I have wind gusts that are in here, but they only show up if the gusts are higher than 20. So the fact that you don't see it means winds are a non-issue right now. We're 39. We got the clouds, and eventually we'll have some cooler air coming in here tonight. I think that 39 drops close to freezing, which will make for a bit of a tap dance here, John. We don't have that much on radar, and you and I have touched on this before.
Right.
When you get those raindrops or snowflakes and they're so low in the atmosphere, we got a radar that's in Buffalo. So that radar beam goes up, 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 up. It overshoots anything. So we have some drizzle. There's some light precip out there, but this is going to be a case where radar largely will not see it. And you will note on this map, while it is mostly rain in a couple of those lower elevation spots that I think are going to be a bit colder, if you get down to 32, maybe it's patchy freezing drizzle this evening. There's just not that much, thankfully, for big problems.
Yeah, that's good. Always be cognizant of potential black ice out there. But it's been favorable in that regard. The driving over the weekend was largely fine, I think.
Yes, it was.
The big thing you had to watch for were big branches. And
big branches or power lines down in some cases.
And that's true. I was coming back from Soda's Point going home yesterday, and as I got closer to Rochester, there were a couple of areas that had sizable trees down off by the road. So that's always my biggest concern. I love shooting in the wind, but it's watch for the things flying around like big branches and trees and so forth.
And the best thing for those crews is being able to have some quiet weather after the fact, which, thankfully they've been able to have. I think tomorrow's another pretty quiet day, too. We'll end up into the 40s. This is the Euro model that's got us close to 50 in Rochester. Cloudy tomorrow, maybe a shower, but it's still warm again. There's no signs of winter here. Wednesday is more of the same. In the 40s, I don't see a whole lot going on. Now, we've got two areas of interest we're going to watch. One of them you're not going to care much about. The second one, I think, will intrigue you.
Yeah, I'll be in Florida for a couple days seeing my parents, and of course, that's when you're going to bring the snow
machine. That's usually how this works. We're blaming you, by the way. If you got to leave, we just got to get John Kutchko out of here to get the snow.
It's all good.
So Wednesday night, we're going to get some moisture in here. Low is going to track pretty close by. This is a fairly weak low, so I think what we'll end up doing here is we'll start with a rain-snow mix. By Thursday morning, though, we're on the backside, so this is all light to moderate snow by that point. Some impact to the Thursday morning commute. We can't rule that out. I'd figure maybe an inch of snow. Some spots could get 2. Not big numbers. All right, so let's get in on the second one of these. Similar setup going into Saturday, but this low is a lot stronger, which means it's got a lot more moisture with it. And we got to figure out the exact track, kind of like what we just did this weekend. Because remember, we were concerned about freezing rain at some points. This is the Euro model Saturday afternoon at 4:30. That's a pretty good swath of moderate to heavy snow area-wide.
Question real quick. Are you seeing this a late afternoon thing when it starts to ramp up, or does it start earlier in the day?
I think it's going to start earlier in the day. I think it's probably snowing early Saturday morning, regardless of track. Now, you see the subtle changes here and where the track could go. We got a northerly one in yellow, a southerly one in blue. If the northerly one plays out, we'll call this the messy path. We would start as snow Saturday morning. We start getting that warmer air coming in aloft, which changes us over to sleet and some freezing rain. Eventually, that becomes all rain. It's not going to be a pretty or photogenic thing. I think it's just going to be that slushy mess of a whole lot of things. The southerly track with this one keeps us primarily snow, and we got a lot of moisture associated with this, and I would envision here this would be very easily a plowable snow. This could be a substantial snowfall accumulation that could rival some of the bigger ones we saw late in the fall. So that's the one that actually the snow lovers are probably leaning toward.
And too early right now to make the call.
Very much so. Yeah.
A lot can happen.
The deviation here, this is not that much of a spread 5 days out. You're talking 75, maybe 100 miles difference. And the models are going to bounce around back and forth with this. So I think the smart bet right now is we're probably in a situation where we will start as snow, and then we have a questionable period of do we get a wintry mix or even some rain in there before going back to snow on the backside. Any wintry mix would eat into those snow accumulations, but if it does stay pure snow event, I think it's more than a half a foot pretty easily.
You think by Thursday you're going to have a really good handle on this?
I think we probably will by that point. Yeah,
right.
And thankfully I don't see this as being necessarily a big ice storm kind of potential like we saw with the last one. So it makes it a bit easier in that regard to forecast. Remember, rest of the evening, 30s, patchy drizzle, isolated pockets of maybe some freezing drizzle in there. The warm air is going to be gone to some extent by Thursday. Falling temperatures. 22.
Wow.
That's your high on Friday. And I do think, John, there's an element with how cold we get Friday. If that low does take the northerly track, we got some cold air leading up to that. So still some wintry mix issues in there. All signs next week, though, for a lot of the country, us included, this is the pattern shift we've been waiting on. This is winter finally starting to arrive. It's not the polar vortex. They're not going to set records, but it is going to be noticeably colder around here on a more extended basis, not just for a day or two as we go next week.
The thing that's noteworthy for me on this is that frigid air coupled with the warm waters of Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, and then you get those lake effect snow machines going, am I not?
The unusually warm waters, because of where we have been this last month. Yeah, those waters should be colder than where they are right now.
Absolutely.
So inevitably, when that cold air gets in here, that's the kind of setup for some of the heavier lake effect snows, with usually by this point are starting to wind down to some extent because the lake is starting to get much colder. You don't have that instability difference. We are not going to have an issue with that this go around.
I think about how traditionally, especially Lake Erie, how much it freezes usually in the course of a winter.
By this point,
and right now, I mean,
not even
there's
close.
I mean, it's incredible.
And it
really
could still
is.
happen, but it's going to take a significant change. For
it
that
would
to
take really 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks solid. I would
not
say,
getting above freezing
in February for that to happen.
I think you're exactly right.
We'll see
and
what
the odds of that are dwindling.
Yeah, they are, but February is often dealt. We had 70 degrees 2 years ago, and we had bone-chilling cold a year ago. It'll be interesting.
It feels like it always balances out.
I'm ready.
It always comes back around.
I'm ready for the cold.
We'll see where that forecast goes.
I'll welcome this with open arms.
I am too. It's going to be fun. All right, we're going to see you back on TV here in about 15 minutes. The news at 5. Thanks for watching.
Take care.